Well, I'm John. This is my wife Rachel, and our baby girl Abigail, and we just recently sold a home with Tarl Anderson Properties. We had listed our house, I guess, in the spring of 2015?
Yeah.
Spring of 2015, and it sat on the market for about 6 months, and we couldn't really figure out why, other than it seemed like the market had taken kind of a downturn, especially in the area that we were in the woodlands, near the woodlands. That hit our area pretty hard with Exxon and everything happening there. So after that 6 months of showing the house on a really regular basis,
Right.
we were having a couple showings a week, and it was really hard, especially for my wife Rachel, trying to keep the house up with. We've got 3 other boys too. The oldest is 6, the youngest is 2. And we just, by the time we got to the end of that 6-month process, we were like, man, do we want to do this again? The listing had expired. We let it expire, and we probably sat for a couple months trying to figure out, okay, do we really want to continue this process?
Show this house again?
Is the timing right
Yeah.
for this or not? And that's when we got a flyer in the mail from Tarl. And actually, we had gotten a ton of stuff in the mail, a ton of phone calls from other realtors. And we pretty much ignored most of it, just because we were trying to figure out what we really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And Tarl's mailer just really caught my attention, the professionalism. One of the funny things to me that really caught my attention was the flyer was flawless. I mean, grammatically, there were no typos, nothing like that, and you could just tell it was real high quality. Yeah. So I kept it. I sat on it for a little while, and we had kind of decided once we got to a point where we felt like we want to sell the house. We want to take advantage of some of the equity that we had in the property.
Right.
And
the sooner the better.
Yeah.
Because at this point we were pregnant.
True. Yes.
Newly pregnant. So it was we had a timeline then.
So, so we had kind of a short window where we were like, man, if we're going to sell this thing, it's got to happen pretty quick.
Before summer, before the school year started, it was important that we get that done.
So we kind of put him in with the top 3. We had gotten a couple phone calls from others, agencies that I was familiar with. I knew they had done a lot of business, were real successful, and so anyway, we set up 3 interviews. Tarl was the first of the 3, the way that it happened.
Yeah.
And he came in and basically just described his process and philosophy, and by the time he left,
I basically looked at John and was like, "We don't need to have anybody else over. I know you want to, but I like this guy."
The thing that really kind of hooked me, I asked him what was the average number of days on market for the houses that he sold, and after he had described his process and everything, I figure, okay, well, surely it can't be that simple, but his response was less than a week. That his properties are on the market for less than a week, and as soon as I heard that, I thought we'd be crazy especially I would be crazy to put my wife through a similar process to what we had just been through. Obviously there's no guarantees, but the philosophy, the strategy made sense to us, and we committed to it. And once we committed to it, we figured, hey, this is going to work for us. We just knew that it would.
At that point, I was pregnant, and when he described no showings, 1 weekend, I was like, I think I can do this. Because keeping up with the showings and the boys was crazy. I just couldn't do that again. And so his process was perfect for our family, and it was something that I knew I could handle. So even though we were doing a lot of packing up on the front end, I thought, you know what? By the time I'm big and pregnant, I'll be packing up a little bit of stuff and able to, move, more simply. So I was hooked right away.
He listed it on Tuesday.
Tuesday morning
at 10 o'clock is when it was listed on the internet, on the website. And he did the open house on Saturday, starting that Saturday. And we had multiple offers.
We had a full price offer on Tuesday when we listed. And we thought,
that's true.
Okay, do we take this and run, or do we have the showing? And so we went ahead and stuck with the open house on Saturday.
The day that it was listed, it was one of our neighbors down the street, one of her family members, saw the sign go up in the yard and then went and looked at the video that Tarl had posted on his website. And having seen the video, he had seen enough to make a full price offer.
Right. So we watched, looking at Tarl's website, we could tell that everything was very professional. The videos that he puts out are amazing. Just the virtual tour that is available, you could see everything. And the houses looked so good. And I thought, okay, if he's going to do this with our house, oh my goodness, that's going to be amazing. So, his photographer came by, videographer took care of everything, took shots of the area. It turned out so beautiful, and our boys were like, "That's our house." They watched the video. "That's our house, Mom." I was like, "I know, it's pretty."
Well, I remember, we had posted the link on Facebook on our Facebook sites and sent text to a bunch of friends for them to post it or repost and just let people know. And I remember we had several comments from friends. One in particular who they were in the process of building a house, and he commented, "Man, after I saw that video, I want to buy your house."
Yeah, that was
great. There's just. That was one of the things, when Tarl came in and we did that first 30-minute interview, he gave us some homework and he said, look, I want you to really do some research, check out my website, look at some of the videos, look at some of the testimonials and really do your homework.
Yeah.
He said, I'm convinced that, when you compare us with other realtors out there, we're gonna win hands down. Mm-hmm. And that's how it was. I mean, the video that you guys shot for us was just as good, if not better, than any of the other videos that were posted on his website.
Yeah.
And it does the marketing and the staging and all of that. It makes a huge difference to the extent that you get a good enough feel for what the house is really like without having to actually tour it.
Right.
So it has a huge impact. There's no doubt about it.
And he did come, before when he was going through the process with us, he helped us with our homework. Like, he went around the entire house. He stayed into the evening to make sure that we knew exactly what to do for our homework, exactly what to make sure that we got to before the showing and all that stuff. And, at one point with the kids and with everything that was going on, I was like, you know what, we can't do it this week. And he was like, okay, so we'll push it back. And so we were trying to get everything done before the school year started so that we would have, a month for people to move in and everything. And so he totally worked with us, and we were able to do what we needed to do and also make it work with our family's schedule. So that was good.
And that was, for me, that was the thing that really clinched it. And a matter of fact, we only did one other interview after Tarl left the house, and that was because that realtor, she was scheduled to come immediately after his interview. The third, I think we had scheduled for the next day. And we canceled the third one. We just when I knew that hey, this was going to be one weekend and done, that was all that I needed, especially for my wife to have that peace of mind that she wasn't going to have to go through who knows how long of showing the house 2-3 times a week. That's what did it for me. Hey, wiggle worm.
Get your truck.
I remember just as soon as Tarl had left the house and we had finished the other interview, we started telling some of our friends, hey, we really think we found the guy that's going to get our house sold. And we had some friends that lived about 6 houses down who were in a similar boat as us.
Right.
They had been trying to sell their house for several months and had been unsuccessful. It was a property that they were renting out, and they were really kind of losing their shirts on the rent because the house had sat unoccupied for several months. And so, we let them know, hey, you might want to check out Tarl. We really think he might have the answer for you guys. And they did. Matter of fact, during the open house, Tarl went down the street and met with them and walked through their house and just kind of gave them some insight and talked to them a little bit about the strategy.
Right. But he wasn't able to help them on that house. And so, but they moved, and then they ended up having to sell the house they moved into. And who did they call? Of course. And they were like, we're not going to call anybody else. This is the guy that we want to go with. We watched how John and Rachel walked through this process with him and how easy it was for them and how quick it was and how professional. And he was sold. The husband especially appreciates that kind of thing. And so that was definitely the way to go for them. And they had great success selling their house as well. So.
Yeah, they were almost in an identical position as us. The house that they did end up selling with Tarl, they have 3 kids. Right. And thankfully, with that house, they didn't have to wait for several months. I mean, they just called Tarl right off the bat, said, "Hey, can you come sell our house?" And it was the same kind of process. I think their first open house got rained out or something like that, so they had to do one, I think, the following week. But same thing. I think they ended up with multiple offers and were able to sell it in a matter of a couple weeks after that first rain out. So.